Welcome to the Global Wellness HQ family of podcasts. We are your international headquarters for resources and ideas and insight in relation to the 9 elements of holistic wellness. Join us as we interview local and international wellness experts and learn how you can implement and improve one element or dimension of wellness at a time. Our experts will share their practical tips on wellness in one of these core areas: emotional, intellectual, occupational, physical, environmental, financial, spiritual, social, or habitual. We created our family of podcasts as a resource for anyone who is looking to integrate the 9 elements of holistic wellness into their daily lives. Welcome to the show. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. In this episode of the podcast, we are going to talk about one of my absolute favorite subjects, and that is the concept of the Dream 100. Now, as I'm understanding it, I'm going to share what I've learned, I'm going to share what I believe, I'm going to share my sources. And I want to credit, first of all, Russell Brunson in his wonderful book, Expert Secrets. He talked about the Dream 100 and he gave me enough passion for it that I wanted to chase it further. And then I found out that Chet Holmes in The Ultimate Sales Machine is credited as the founder or the creator of this concept. And then I've also studied, I think his name is Dana Derricks. He's written a book about the Dream 100. And each book, each resource has given me different context. But at the heart of it, I really, really follow Chet Holmes because, as I understand it, he created the concept. But of course, I'm going to share with you my take, and I hope you love it and you'll share it with people in your world. So, first things first, what they all agree on is the Dream 100 is basically the clients or connections your business needs to jump forward. So I talk about key strategic partners. I talk about having a network of 11 key strategic partners and then having another group and then another group. But the reality is this ultimately I boiled down the Dream 100 and said, how do I simplify it? Because 100 seems to overwhelm people. I figured 12 is easy. But the key is both methodologies, my key strategic partner plan, the Dream 100. It's all about what are the strategic relationships we need to grow our business. So, for context, if anyone wants to know, if you haven't read The Ultimate Sales Machine, it is by far one of my favorite business books. And what Chet Holmes talks about is having, instead of most people, they do 4,000 things and they hope for results. What he says is we don't need to learn 4,000 skills. We need to master 12 skills and repeat those 12 skills 4,000 times. That's the secret to success. So Chet Holmes was a martial artist and he applied that discipline. He actually has a phrase, I think he calls it pig-headed discipline, something like that. But that's what we need. We need to be disciplined. We need to repeat until we succeed. So, for context, Chet Holmes actually worked with Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, and they brought him in to increase sales in their investment companies. And to my knowledge, I've read different reports, but to my knowledge, he has had a significant impact on at least 9 companies and taking them from high hundreds of millions up to billions and beyond. And the amazing thing is he applied the 12 things over and over, and surprise, surprise, he got the same result over and over, and he just repeated it. So at one point, and I have a video I'll share with you, but at one point, Warren Buffett called him in and just said, I just want to make sure, you've doubled our revenues 3 years in a row. I just want to make sure we're not doing anything immoral, illegal, unethical. And what I want to share with the Dream 100 is that you can, in fact, create an unfair advantage over your competitors, but it is 100% legal, it is 100% moral and ethical, and it's easy to do. That's a rare combination. So that's why I get so excited about the Dream 100. And I know some of you are going to pause for a moment and say, wow, that's interesting. Shiny object, what's next in my life? And you're going to move on. That's okay. But for those of you who are listening, I want you to really take a moment to consider how brilliant the Dream 100 is. It's simple, it costs very little, and it's highly effective, highly targeted. So if you're an entrepreneur who is going to come to me and say, "Yeah, Jeff, I don't have time for that," I would argue you don't have time not to. And really think about that for a minute. If you're not willing to sit down, spend a few minutes, and think about who the most important 100 people are to your business, do you have a chance at success? I'm sorry, but really, truly, do you? And that's the thing. We get so busy being busy, we don't stop and ask ourselves, what should I be doing? So again, I break it down to 10, 12. Keep it small to start with, but as you see the results, ask yourself, what else can I eliminate so that I can put more energy in this? And by the way, if this doesn't work for you, I would say there's probably a tweak that needs to be done. Feel free to come to one of our networking groups or comment below. We'll help you tweak it because I really believe that every local business should have the Dream 100. And I would go so far as to say every business could benefit from the Dream 100. Literally, Chet Holmes brought it in for multi $100 million companies to turn them into $1 billion companies. I see the Dream 100 really truly as taking your business from where it is today up to the next level, whatever that is. So if you're doing, less than 100,000, the goal of the Dream 100 is how do you get your business to 1 million? If you're doing 1 million, how do you get to 10 million? And if you're doing 10 million, how do you get to 100 million? And from 100 million, how do you get to 1 billion? So I just like to see 10x growth. And really, truly, the Dream 100 is one of those tools that gets you there. Again, I'm not saying this is my idea. I'm not saying I do anything other than I respect it, I admire it, and I use it with my clients. And honestly, if you're not willing to do the time to do the Dream 100, I don't want to waste my time or yours working together because you're going to struggle and you're going to struggle and pull me down with you. It's kind of like when someone's drowning, you need to make sure you're safe before you try to rescue them. When you're flying, if there's something going wrong with the plane, you need to put your mask on first. Dream 100 is my stake in the sand, my line in the sand. If somebody's not willing to put the effort into the Dream 100, I'm not willing to put any effort into them because I know for a fact it's going to be too much effort for both of us for too little reward. So again, as I said, if you come at me and say, I don't have the time for the Dream 100, I would say that's the worst excuse possible because usually that means you're afraid of something. The Dream 100 is designed to create freedom and give us our time back while building our business to unprecedented levels. So I would ask you, who doesn't have the time to figure out who can have the biggest impact on their business? And by the way, I hope this video is the seed for that big impact on your business. I have a podcast, and one of my favorite things, I love to meet entrepreneurs, visionaries. They think in exponential rather than in incremental improvements. And obviously, exponential requires incremental steps. But the reality is, in my humble opinion, and there's literally a book written by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy, 10x is easier than 2x. And what that means is growing your business by 10 times is actually easier than doubling it. So think about that for a minute. And for the record, the Dream 100 is a 10x mindset and a 10x strategy. It is not a 2x. And by the way, if your growth goals are 10%, don't waste your time. The Dream 100 would be like using a big jackhammer to solve a problem that a tiny little finishing hammer could do. So the Dream 100 is for serious business growth. As I said, if you're looking to start at 10,000 and grow to 100,000, Dream 100 is a great place to start. But if you're looking to make 10,000 a year and you're happy there, Dream 100 is too much for what you need. Kind of like putting a teenager into a high performance Formula One racing car to teach them to drive. It's probably too much car for their first time behind the wheel. So the way I see the Dream 100, I talk about the relative value of tasks in our world. And the reality is, I credit Perry Marshall with this. We have buckets. There are the $10 an hour tasks that we do because we don't want to be bothered paying someone to do it. There are $100 an hour tasks that are kind of admin, but they need to be done to keep the lights on. And then there are the $1,000 and $10,000 an hour tasks that really drive the business forward. And I would argue if you're an entrepreneur and you don't know the difference between a 10, a 100, a 1,000, and 10,000 hour, you need to figure it out because that's critical to your success. So I recommend for all of my clients, if you do at least one $10,000 per hour task per week, at the end of the year, you're going to have at least an extra 500,000, 520,000 in value in your business. And I'm not saying it's guaranteed. I'm just saying that's the way it works. And because it's actually compounding, I'm not smart enough to do the math in my head, but it should be more than 520,000 because if you add a 10,000 in value on top of another 10,000, I'm guessing it's more multiplicative rather than additive. So my question to you is it worth your time to put in a 10,000 hour a week working on the Dream 100 to add that much value to your business? And by the way, I'm not saying that's going to put that much cash in your accounts. I'm just saying you're building the business and you're focusing on growing. That's the level you should expect your time to be spent as the owner or entrepreneur. So, my question for you right here is what else is more important than ensuring that your business is growing at a predictable pace? So, I'm going to share the link for Chet Holmes. He explains it way better than I will. But take my words, integrate it, make it your own. And of course, my favorite question after you watch the video, how does this apply to you? So, what I've experienced working with some of my clients is a lot of people look at the Dream 100 and say that's impossible or that's not something I'm going to do because I don't believe it'll work. And then others, once it happens, they say, wow, that felt like magic. The secret is it's not magic, it's not elusive. It is all about focus and leverage. And if you can focus and put leverage into a business, it will grow. There's nothing magical about it. And if you do the right things in the right order at the right time and repeat them, your business will grow with some scalability and predictability. So play along with the Dream 100 and make sure you share this with those in business that you know and like and love. I'm going to go into a little more detail, but I'll put the link for the video below as well. So, first things first, let's talk about one of my conversations that I like to have, and that is who should be in my Dream 100. Now, depending on the amount of growth you want, depending on how you're looking at this, it's going to determine how your Dream 100 is impacted. So, as an example, if you're a local business and you just want to add, let's say you have 100 customers or clients and you want to double, all you would do is have a Dream 100 of the 100 people you'd like to have as clients. That is micro specific and very easy to do. You just need to get a little creative. And spoiler alert, if you have 100 clients, I would try to clone my favorite 10, not try to replicate all 100. So your favorite 10 might be part of your list because the theory is like attracts like, birds of a feather flock together. So if you can find ways to clone your best 10 clients and you do that 10 times over, you've added 100 new clients to your business. I know that sounds really simple, but the reality is if your 10 best clients attract 10 clients for you, that first 10 people, they are part of your Dream 100. And of course, the next 10 are part of your Dream 100. And they should be able to help you figure out who your other 80 are. So it's all about leveraging the relationships you have. That is the Dream 100 at its simplest. For example, if I'm a dentist who serves children, I'm going to want to find a place to hang out, and schools, by the way, are a great example. If you're a dentist in a community one of the greatest things you can do for the parents of the school is to make it easy for them to pick their kids up, bring them to the dentist, take them back to school. So thinking about that, the schools in your community should be on your Dream 100. More specifically, the principal, there's parents at the school, but the reality is if you have, let's say, a patient whose parent goes, sorry, if you have a patient that goes to the school and their parent is coming in, you can ask them, who else do you know at the school that would benefit by coming to see me and my dental practice? So this is the hardest part, is having that discipline, and you need to ask yourself very specifically, who exactly do I need to know in order to grow my business significantly? And clearly I need to know who my perfect prospect is. I need to know with clarity who my dream client is. If you don't know those two things, you're dead in the water. You might as well just stop right now. But here's where we get to the magic. So a lot of people take the Dream 100 as very literally just 100 people, 100 clients. The way I see it, and I think Dana Derricks takes this further, is who are the most influential or most connected people that could help you reach your clients, your perfect prospects, your dream clients, and have 100 relationships that are very large and very leveraged. So, just as a very simple example, if you, for some reason, you wanted to reach those children again, think about their parents and what groups they belong to. And the perfect example is, an average school has a few hundred kids. That means there's probably, a few hundred parents, give or take. Um, Building a relationship with the school, and I speak from experience. I've seen it in my life, I've seen it in my kids' lives. There's a local dentist, they send home a little package of floss and toothpaste and a toothbrush and a business card. That's a great way to, first of all, help the school, because I'm almost positive that the dentist paid the school for that privilege. Perfectly ethical, above board. They approached them, they worked out a deal, they sent it home. I guarantee that that dentist got some patients out of it, but I also, the parents got something of value because they got the floss, they got the instructions, the toothpaste, the toothbrush, and the kids got some sort of little toy. So everybody was happy in that. But that's where Dream 100 can be really powerful, when you find 100 people who have big audiences of your perfect prospects, and you find ways to add value to that influencer or center of influence or sphere of influence and their tribe or their community. So some of the questions I like to ask, and this is where the magic really happens. I like to ask questions like, what groups are my perfect prospects part of? What conferences do they go to? What software do they use? Just as a side note, I had a client who was an accountant. He wanted to work with dentists. He actually figured out what software the dentist used to run their practices, and he found ways to help them use that software better. Therefore, he got a bunch of dentists as clients. Are there vendors that they love? Is there, for example, in the dental space, they buy dental equipment, they buy, office equipment. So is there a vendor that really reaches a large group? If you're looking for, business owners, for example, an office supply store might be a good example. We get into podcasts. What podcasts do they listen to? That's where we start to add the influencers. I know one podcast, I think they have about 1 million subscribers. So if you do something for value to the podcaster, he'll find ways to add value to you and introduce you to his community. By the way, somebody with 1 million in their audience, they're probably going to be at that point where they're getting paid to be in front of those people. But think about it, if you can get a paid warm introduction, is it worth it? Now, my favorite place is, what books are these people reading? Every industry has their experts, every industry has their favorite books. Who do they listen to? Who do they turn to? Who do they trust? And if you can figure that out, you're going to find a big audience. Now, this is an extreme example, but for example, if I sold something that um, teenage or preteen girls would want to buy. I'm going to be stereotypical here, so forgive me. But if I really had something, maybe I'm a jewelry store or a clothing store, I would want to find ways to add value to Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is an icon in that generational space. She has her little band of Swifties. I don't know the number, but there's a lot of them. If you believe it, the marketing industry even has something they call the Swift effect. Whenever Taylor Swift focuses on something, sales of that something go up. A really extreme example, she's dating a football player. Sorry, I don't follow music or football, so I don't know exactly who he is. But as I understand it in the marketing world, sales of his jersey went up significantly the day the rumor broke. So that's the Swift effect. That is the most extreme. But if you're looking to add value to the world of preteen, teenage girls, Taylor Swift is a really classic example of incredible power because she brings hundreds of thousands of followers. That's what you're looking for is obviously on a local scale. For example, if you want to reach football players and you live in Edmonton, sorry, if you want to reach football fans and you live in Edmonton, you're probably going to find a way to add some value to the Edmonton Elks so that you can reach their people. And by the way, this is how a lot of businesses work. If somebody really wants to reach football fans, they've studied the demographics, they pay to advertise where the Elks play. Same with hockey. I mean, watch the boards around the rink. There's always sponsors on that. That's the principle of the Dream 100. The sponsors to those games, they know that their perfect prospect goes to those games, spends money at the game, spends time staring at the game, so they put their ads in front of it. So the Dream 100 is not just about paid advertising. It can be about free advertising. It can be about free traffic. Networking is my favorite version of the Dream 100. Who are the 100 raving fans I need in my business to grow my business dramatically? And when it comes to your perfect prospects, if you can't answer the question, what do they care about more than anything else in the world? You're going to struggle. It's just a matter of fact. But if you know what your perfect prospects care about and you find ways to be there and to help them and to do whatever you can to add value in that space, they will reward you and vote with their dollars and work with you. So the answers to those questions, and we're going to do a workshop, we're going to do some practice within our little communities. But basically, if you can answer those questions, those should be the seeds to your Dream 100. And by the way, if you don't have time to do 100, I beg you, please do 10, do 12, do 20, whatever the number is. But the reality is, for a local small business, I guarantee there's one person that if you win them over, they'll bring a community that will help you grow your business. So think carefully. Oh, by the way, for those of you who don't believe in this, I absolutely love the McDonald's business model. I love the fact that teenagers can run multi-million dollar restaurants. But one of the things they do is to support the Ronald McDonald House charity. Once a year, they have a celebrity day and they bring in the favorite celebrities from the community. Those people serve food and they interact with the guests and things like that. I can't remember the name of the day, but it's not the critical piece here. But basically, what that does is it raises awareness for their charity. It brings people into the restaurant to spend money, but it also builds relationships in the community. You're getting to know the local athletes, the local celebrities, whatever that is. But basically, that's McDonald's way of localizing a brand. They are a global brand, and it's really hard to attach a local person to a global brand. But what this does is it ties people to their local location nearest them. So Here's the thing. I'm going to say this. We're going to wrap up in a minute here, but this is a big lesson. Chasing your next client can get exhausting and definitely requires an element of luck. Having your perfect prospects chase you is exhilarating and takes the luck out of the equation. So I'm going to ask you, would you rather experience the scarcity of chasing or the where you're chasing or the abundance of them chasing you? Now, before we wrap up, I just want to say the last piece. When it comes to the Dream 100, I love having conversations about the groups we belong to and the groups our perfect prospects belong to. So I love groups like alumni associations for colleges, universities, religious associations, and groups. Why not do business with the people who have the same religious beliefs as you? I love chambers of commerce. I love professional or trade associations. I love community associations. Think of these as all touch points, but each one of those could be part of your Dream 100. So share in the notes, comments below. What is your biggest takeaway from the Dream 100? Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our show. We hope that you enjoyed this episode, and we invite you to either click the link below or scan the QR code to register and listen to other episodes of our podcast. Or if you think your business or you would be a great guest to be on our show, we're always looking for experts in one of the 9 elements of holistic wellness. We'd love to have you. You can either click the link below or you can scan the QR code and complete our speaker intake form. Thank you, and to your wellness.